All right, today we're going to do diagrams going from Rhino to Illustrator and to Photoshop. The first thing I would do here is just take out your pen and paper and start sketching out what you think your diagram could be. In this case, I've done that and I'm thinking about doing a transformation of the overall massing for this building just to keep it really simple. And so to do that, we're going to start by creating what would be the initial box here. So we'll go from a box and then transform it down into this shape. So I'm gonna draw that rectangle. And for now, I'll just put this way off to the side. Now I can go to the perspective view, and from there, I will do a copy paste, move that over, and then Control Shift the edge, and then move that down like so. So that's our basic transformation. Start with the box and then push down the side. And then we still need to add a piece here. So we could do this in 3 steps or 4. How about let's do it in 4 steps. Actually, this would be 3 steps. Okay, we can see that this comes down and we can check the actual proportions here. For now, I'm just gonna eyeball it. So I think it's something, and again, I'm just doing Control Shift and then moving that. So it looks like it's a little bit more like that. We can also just go back and check too. Might as well get it right. All right, so I went too tall. We add that piece. All right, so that's kind of our 3 major pieces. Maybe start with the box, move it down, and then we're gonna add this piece. And we'll just do a basic form diagram for this. Okay, so first I'm gonna make sure that there's good spacing between these. And I could do a 4 steps. I think it's gonna get a little bit too much. So that's why I'm gonna keep it 3, because if I had this like so, and then the final one here, I think that would start to get too much. So we'll keep this simple, just 3 steps, push down, add a piece. I'm gonna go to perspective and go to set view isometric. Let's try the other isometrics. View isometrics, maybe southeast is better. Yeah, there we go. All right, then we're gonna go to the shaded view, to the rendered view. Notice how the plane, I want the plane on the bottom there so I get the shadows. Beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna center this on my page, and then I'm gonna go to File, Print, and it's gonna be the same workflow as what we were doing before, 11 by 17. And I'm gonna first export a vector, and I'm gonna call this vector. I didn't spell that right, oh well. And then I'm gonna do File, Print, and I'm gonna do a raster, save. I'm gonna go to Illustrator and go File, Open, and I'm gonna open up the vector layer. So first things first, I'm gonna select all my lines here, and you'll see I can't really select it. So I have to do a right click and I'm gonna release the clipping mask. Here's the layers panel. So I first just need to do some line cleanup. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to select all my lines, and let's make them we're gonna make them very, very light. I think I just want to get rid of some of the lines. So make the lines light, and then I'm going to get rid of some of these lines because I wouldn't see them in axisymmetric. You could keep them there, but then I would just make them very, very light so they're not distracting. I don't need these extra lines here, so I'm just gonna err on the side of, and if I click hold, it should hold that position. Click hold, it should hold that position, and then I don't need this. I'll just click, there we go. And then I don't need these. So that's the cleaned up line work. Then I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to put this layer on a locked layer and do the pen tool, make sure I'm on the new layer. And I'm gonna outline all my geometry here. And what this will do is it will help create some line work and hierarchy and just help the overall visuals of the diagram. I'm gonna go Command All or Control All, select all, and then change this to like 0.75. We can see the line imbalance feels a little bit off, so I'm gonna go back and select this original layer. Again, do Control All, and then we'll make sure, oh, it exported this by accident. We'll delete that. So we'll select these lines and let's do 0.5. I think that will be maybe 0.25. I think that's a little bit better. All right, so I'm still going to do a couple more things in here, but first let's just save this file. And I'm going to jump over to Photoshop and I'm going to go open, and I'm going to open that raster file and make sure it says media box. Okay, so now media box is open, and I'm going to go file, place linked, and that's going to be the vector layer. And we're going to make sure that it says media box and then press OK. All right. Oh crap, I didn't do this correctly. Okay, so I messed up this plane. So without moving anything, let's see if we can go. Hopefully we can, you see how I didn't put the plane on the bottom? I kind of messed it up. So that's why it's best to do named view. So you save that, but let's just hope for the best here. And I'm gonna reopen this file and then go file, place linked. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new solid color, and we'll just make this white. If you want your canvas, you could make it a gray. That actually can be kind of nice sometimes, like off-white, so it's not as stark. It can be nice. So maybe we'll do a slight off-white here. We'll put it underneath this layer, and then we can turn down the opacity on this layer because it's a little intense. So we'll turn that down, make it a little bit more subtle. And then we're going to go back to Illustrator and just finish out some of the diagram aspects. So I'll use the pen tool. Whoops. I'm going to go up. Wow. I'm going to go back to layers. I'm going to create a new layer, and this will be my diagram layer. So I'm going to create some dashed lines, and I'm doing an exit. So I'm doing the pen tool, and then I'm hitting escape, and then I'm hitting V here. And then I'm going to drag those lines over here. Don't know why that didn't work. Okay. And then I'll finish these lines. Looks like I didn't do these correctly, so I'm just going to redo this one more time. So click, click. If I press V, it should, there we go. Now it's in alignment. Once I have one, I'm pressing V again. I can do Alt, or if you're on Mac, Option, and that lets me duplicate it. I'm going to select both of these lines, and oh, I need to create one more line. Do you see how I hover over this? It's a minus. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll go exit V, and I'm just going to create a new line here. Exit V, and then I'll select these items, and I'm going to create a dash line. So it'll come up here to basic. I lied. Go to stroke, and then here we can do dash line. And you can control the dashes, so we can try this out. That might look like a pretty big dash, so I'll come over to stroke, and maybe we'll make this 6 and 6. And I'll make this just 0.2. Maybe make it just slightly less obvious. Now we're going to create an arrow to show that we are moving this thing downwards. So now it won't be dashed. We're going to go pretty thick with this arrow, and the theme will be a slight orange, just for fun. There's our slight orange. I can go here and add, I think it's over here, I can add an arrow. That's one way to do it. I actually like taking the step and just creating a custom arrow. So if I go here, I can do this polygon tool, and I can, in the arrows, I can up, down arrows, and that creates the triangle, and I actually can control this a little bit more than the other arrows. So I prefer doing this technique, just gives me a little bit more control. And then once I'm done, I'm gonna group those items together. And there we go, pretty simple arrow. Because I added this, we'll add an addition. So I'm going to create a new layer, make sure everything is canceled out there. And I'm going to just highlight again in orange to show that, oh, I messed this up. Sometimes I'll reverse this just so I can see it. There we go. All right. And then close it, change that. I don't want a stroke. You can see that that's pretty harsh, so I am going to come here and just lighten this up a lot. So we have a subtle orange, and then this is a little bit bright too, so I'll come and I'll select this and then just give this a subtle opacity. All right, so pretty simple, straightforward, and you could see, just doing some basic modeling in Rhino, we can get these diagrams looking pretty good. I'll do File, Save. I'm going to go back to Photoshop, and it should update there. The last thing that we can do here is I can go Duplicate Layer, and I'll make sure that I have orange on as a color, and I can go Filter, Filter Gallery, and then you can just look through some of these filters, see if you find something interesting. I'll press OK, and this is again something that you could either use or not if you want to add some additional depth to your photo. In this case, you might find maybe the orange is a little bit overwhelming, so maybe I'll duplicate this layer and we won't do orange, and we'll try a blue, and now do Filter, Filter Gallery, do that same filter, and then create a little bit of contrast. And again, I can just toggle through these to see if anything sticks out or looks particularly cool. All right, turn this down just a little bit. And then at this point, you can kind of just tinker around depending on how much. You can see how that's too much, too dark. And so you can kind of just tinker around with what this can look like. And at any point, you can update the line weights or update the arrows or anything like that in the Illustrator file. All right, that's it for now. Hopefully this was helpful.